How would you feel working 60, 70-hour weeks, sometimes in the pouring rain, stuck in traffic, barely seeing your wife and your kids? What kind of life is that? And then you go on holiday to a country full of nature, fantastic weather, beautiful scenery, but it's Canada. So why in the hell would you then want to move to rural Western Australia? I know Perth is the most isolated city in the world, so why would you move 3 hours south? Well, for our guest today, Sam, that was exactly it. Gone from driving HGVs around the M25 to, well, I guess we'll find out. G'day, Sam. How are you going?
Hey. Yeah, good, mate. Yeah.
Yes, very well, very well. How is it in Perth at the moment? Because I'm in Brisbane and it's only spring and the summer seems to have started. I'm melting. I'm literally melting in here.
It's not that great here, to be fair. It's been a nice day today, but the past couple of weeks it's been raining loads. But yeah, it's like been 18 degrees today. So yeah,
that's
pretty
positively
cool.
Freezing. I'd have long pants and a jumper on if that was the case.
Pretty much, yeah.
Have they got any reasons for why the weather's so bad? Or often people talk to me about Perth being the perfect weather. What's going on?
Yeah. So I'm not actually in Perth. I'm like 3 hours south of Perth.
Okay.
So we are,
that's all right then.
Yeah, it's kind of like Tasmania, really. If you sort of look at it on the map, it's quite low down. So we do get some of the colder sort of weather down this part.
It doesn't take much of a drive south to significantly change the weather.
No, exactly.
I remember when we went to New South Wales to see some friends in the Hunter Valley, and I mean, that was a big drive south, but we noticed as soon as we crossed the border how all of the kind of shades of green and the colours were suddenly starting to change. Sam was like, it almost seems a bit like Wales. So as a joke, I obviously said, well, that's why they probably called it New South Wales then, isn't it? And that went straight over her head. She was like, what do you mean? What are you on about? But yeah, no, it's weird how it doesn't take much of a drive. I say much of a drive now. Your profession will probably argue with me about how long counts as a long drive.
Well, yeah, I mean, I haven't been doing it here yet, so I can't really. Well, we'll get into that. It's a different story.
Well, on that note and that curiosity, then, Sam, can you paint us a picture of your life before then you moved to Australia? What were you kind of leaving behind? What were you hoping to find 3 hours south of Perth?
So back in the UK, obviously was a truck driver. Did long hours, like 60, 70-hour weeks some weeks. Like,
wow.
Could be sleeping out in the truck sometimes. I could be starting at 4 a.m. and then getting home at 5 if I was lucky. Never really saw the kids. Sort of by the time I got home, knackered, bedtime, they go to bed. Didn't see them in the mornings because obviously I started so early. So my life was just basically work, and the missus was doing everything pretty much. She was working as well, pretty much full time, 4 days a week. But yeah, so it was pretty hectic.
So what made you want to make the leap and move to Australia then?
So the first reason, you'll know yourself, is my partner is a teacher, and
there we go.
We looked at the wages that she could earn in Australia compared to the UK, and straight away it was like, hang about, you can earn more than me. What's going on here? So straight away that got my curiosity up, and then it was like doing all the research, looking into it, seeing how much I could earn, which is depending on kind of what work I want to do. It could be the same, if not more. So it was just a bit of a no-brainer. In the UK, the missus is a teacher. She was barely scratching 30k, whereas in Australia, that's over double now. It's massive difference.
How many years has she been a teacher?
Oh, you put me on the spot now.
Roughly.
So I think 7 years. I think she's been a teacher. But she's a special needs teacher. So she started off as like a EA, did that for a long time, and her heart's always been working with special needs children. And she basically said, well, I'm pretty much doing the job. I might as well become a teacher, and she went for it, and got her degrees, and here we are.
So aside from then the lookup, because my tipping point to move to Australia was pretty similar. There was lots of reasons why I wanted to move here, but it was a Friday afternoon, thinking, bugger this, I don't want to do this here anymore. But I was looking up house prices, which I think sometimes if you want to be looking up house prices anywhere in Australia at the moment, that
Yeah.
might not be the tipping point thing. Was there anything else that kind of made you, other than teachers' wages, want to move here?
I think I'd been on a lot of holidays in Europe, and nothing really was like a calling to me.
Hmm.
And then we went on holiday to Canada, and we spent some time with some family over there. And it just opened my eyes to how much of a world is out there and how different it was. This was the first sort of Western country, if you like, English speaking country where I'd been to. And it was like, oh, I was sort of like in awe. Everything I was doing in Canada, I was like, oh, this is better. Oh, that's better. Oh, this is better. And I was comparing everything. And it wasn't like, I was like, what am I doing? Why am I in this country in the UK? Yeah, the weather's so bad. Like, I'm miserable. I'm working all the hours under the sun and I'm barely getting by. Like, what are we doing here? And then we looked into moving to Canada originally. And then when we just weighed everything up and we thought with the weather sort of side of it, Canada's lovely, but you kind of are the same sort of thing as the UK when it comes to the weather, but worse, -40.
Oh, I've got a friend that lives in Canada. I mean, it seems like they get the extremes that we lack. We just get the middle kind of crap. In the winter, yeah, -40. But I've got it. He ice skates to work. They flood all of the paths, like all the paths. They'll
Yeah,
just flood them, and they get their ice skates out, and then he just ice skates to work. I was like, that's cool. I was like, is it cold though? Because I've been to Norway, and that's cold, but it's a dry cold. It doesn't. It's not like when the wet just infects everything, where you
yeah,
just feel damp and
yeah. I mean, I've not been to Canada when it was cold. We've always been in the summer, so we've been twice. We actually
and
got
that's the
married
good
there
time as
last
well.
year. Yeah. So
Wow.
I think that it gave us a bit of false kind of security, if you like, of, oh, this is amazing. But
What
then
made
when
you
I was
want to get
looking
married
into
in
it,
Canada?
I say the first time I went there, I just fell in love with the place. And yeah, I was just like, no, I don't want to get married in the UK because we was looking at prices of getting married in the UK from the hotel near
Mm,
Southend, and it's going to cost like 20 grand.
yeah.
And then we looked for the same price, we could get married in Banff in Canada, which is, if anyone knows what Banff
Mm.
is, look it up. You put a picture up, it's beautiful. So yeah, we did that, and yeah, brilliant.
So, with your love of Canada, then why Australia?
I think in terms of just financial, weather, safety for the kids, everything just seemed a little bit better with Australia. And obviously, it seems a bit weird because I'd never been to Australia previous, but I'd always been interested in Australia growing up. I was always like, I'd love to move there. You know, when you watch like all the bloody Crocodile Dundee programs and all that, and you're like, that looks
Yeah, you don't
amazing.
really want to move to the Northern Territory, though, where all the crocs are.
Well, no.
We've got a trip planned up north, up to Cairns. We're doing a road trip, and the kids are all like, "Oh, we can go swimming on the beach," and I'm like, "Yeah, no, mate, pass your poon. No one's going on the beach. Like, no one's going within 4 meters of water that isn't in a pool."
Yeah, I think that's such a thing as well that people don't realize as well. When you say Australia, people automatically think crocodiles,
Yeah.
and actually, obviously, down this way there is none. Like you literally have
Mm.
to drive 17 hours north, like non-stop, to come across a crocodile in the wild.
Yeah.
I'll probably get told that no, it's probably closer, but whatever.
Yeah.
Sort
No.
of thereabouts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No. You just sharks. I hear more in WA.
Yeah, but they can't walk on land, so I'm okay with
No.
that.
And I only really go knee, maybe waist deep anyway. We had a recent shark attack. I say recent, it was within the last maybe 6 to 10 months. Poor girl. I mean, I'm not belittling her at all, but when we heard where it was like one of the beaches that we kind of go to quite regularly.
Yeah,
But it turns out she was a surf lifesaver, loved surfing, and was like 300 meters out or something like that. And that was obviously one of the reasons why it was very difficult to save her because she was so far out when she got attacked. And I was like,
yeah,
and it was dusk as well. And I was like,
yeah.
mate, seriously, what are you doing out there?
Prime time for them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
There
It's
was a
just
video in Fremantle the other day, and there was about 10 bull sharks that you could see just looking over the bridge as you look down. Yeah, that was quite terrifying.
I've seen videos of them circling in the brown snake in the Brisbane River as well.
Yeah.
Mate, they're just everywhere. They're freaking everywhere.
Well, yeah, I suppose as well they're protected now as well. Like they used to hunt them quite a lot, and now they just let it be.
You just hope the nets do their job.
Yeah, that's all you can hope for.
So, aside from scaring people moving to Australia, but actually coming up with the realities of living here, describe for us then your migration journey. What visa are you on? How did you get to live here? I mean, I guess as a teacher that should be a way in, but it's not always that easy.
Yeah, so we wanted to do what basically you done. We wanted to go straight for the PR and get here that
Mm-hmm.
way. But it was a little bit more long-winded. So I looked into different avenues, and originally I was looking at a Dharma visa, which is like a 482 visa. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like I can't remember like the actual terminology for it. So it means like uh, regional skill shortage sort of thing. So
Yep.
I was looking into that for me as a truck driver originally because I had a friend that moved to this actual area on that sort of
Mm-hmm.
visa as a truck driver. But when I was trying myself to get over here, it wasn't that easy. And it was very hard and time consuming trying to get hold of people to sort of, yeah, convince them
Mm.
to take me on as a truck driver.
That's crazy because I would have thought that you're always hearing about the demand for truck drivers.
Yeah, there's a massive shortage over, well, I think in all of Australia for truck
Mm.
drivers. So I was quite surprised as well. But I think when you take in the cost that it costs them to sponsor you and all the paperwork they have to go through, I think it just scares them off. I think if they were a little bit more knowledgeable about it, some of these companies they probably would do it more often. But
Mm.
yeah, it's not an easy thing.
And what I
But
often
obviously,
find with sponsored visas is the employers, they want someone right now.
yeah.
Do you know what I
But
mean?
yeah, I mean to be fair, I was willing to be that right now, but it was just yeah, in the areas we were looking, it just didn't seem to happen. And then obviously we was looking in for my missus as a teacher, and Western Australia had a recruitment drive for teachers, and we looked into it, and it was like flights paid for, visas paid for, shipping container paid for, subsidized accommodation. Like it was just like they were rolling out the red carpet, and I was like,
Mm.
"Whoa, what was going on?" Well,
Absolutely.
I'd have to pay 30 grand for us to do this, but on you as a teacher, like they're rolling out the carpet. It's going to cost us it literally cost us our police checks. That was it in terms of what we had to pay for to get here.
Wow.
And we were so lucky. I couldn't believe how lucky we was.
Man, I'm just thinking back about all the things that I had to pay for when I moved with permanent residency, visa costs, visa agent costs, obviously all of the moving over here costs. I even got slapped with a lovely COVID hotel for two
Mm,
weeks. And
yeah, I remember that.
yeah, to just have to pay for police checks. I mean, I think I
Yeah,
actually paid for two in the end because they always take longer than you kind of need them to be. And then you have to end up getting, another,
yeah.
it's like another tax, really.
Yeah, I mean there is like a caveat to that. So if we'd wanted to go to Perth, we couldn't have got the same kind of royalties, if you
Yep.
like. But because we were willing to try out, I call it semi-rural, but if you're English, it's rural.
Mhm.
Um, it's an hour and 50 minutes to the closest town slash village, not village, town, which is a place called Bunbury or Bustleton, sort of on the coast. And you're a 3.5 hour drive from the closest international airport, which is Perth. So,
Mm.
yeah, you've kind of made the sacrifice that you are sort of away from civilization. But I enjoy that. I like being out here in the countryside. I've made some really good friends, and some of them like farmers. And yeah, it's just a different style of life out this way.
Mm. Different type of people as well. I've often find a lot more friendly, the more rural that you go. So, how did you feel then when you first got to Australia? And unlike the majority of people that I speak to that obviously go to major cities, how does it feel? Were there any surprises?
Yeah, it was surprises. So obviously, Perth being the most isolated city in the world, you still look at it and you still see it like pictures, and you think Perth is like it's a big city. It's got all the high-rise buildings, and you get there and it's very underwhelming in terms of how busy it's not. Like
Okay.
it looks like is how busy for you, I suppose, and for our watchers. Like it's like Reading. It's not you know crazy busy like London where you can
No,
barely walk.
no. But yeah, I mean, actually, Reading is a one to talk about really because I spent a lot of my time there. I went to uni, then I ended up living there for most of my adult life, and I kind of agree sometimes because Brisbane is a very big and busy city, like it's the third biggest in Australia, and people often talk to me about commuting times, driving on the motorway, and I remember living in Reading, and I kind of feel sometimes that Reading would be busier
Yes.
than sometimes Brisbane feels.
Hmm.
Even on a night out, I remember the Reading town centre going into Fortitude Valley, and I'm like, I actually feel that Fortitude Valley is a bit safer. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
feel as busy, and there's more police around. Like this is good. Um, but they always talk about like driving into the city, it's horrendous. And now I don't know about the south side, and when I listen to the radio reports, it always seems to be the traffic jams and the accidents seem to be on the south side. I live on the north side, but
Yeah.
I've driven in towards the city a fair few times now during peaked rush hour times, and I'm like, this is no worse than when I had 4 years of driving in towards London every
Yeah.
day, and you
Yeah.
were just praying that there wasn't an accident because it would literally shut the whole thing down. It took me like to drive to work once. It took 2.5 hours, and there was a fair few of us that were driving in from Reading towards that way. So it was like it nearly
Yeah.
shut the school down, kind of thing, because we were all like,
You're stuck. Yeah. Yeah. I've had that so
someone
many
died on
times.
the motorway. Like it's not my fault.
Being a truck driver, the M25, the amount of time I've sat on that motorway just not even moving, it's beyond a joke. And there's a ring road that goes around Perth, and people are scared to drive on it because they think it's busy. And uh, not sounding too big headed or arrogant, I'm like, is it?
It's lovely sometimes. It's quite busy. I mean, I had one today. I went to pick up a couple of bits from like Kmart and a few shops, and it was a I don't know, 15-minute journey. So like 10, 15 Ks. And you don't have to park in the shopping centre. Sorry, you don't have to pay to park in the shopping centre. And it was actually like, so where I used to live just outside of Reading, if someone said to me, do you want to do the same journey like driving into the shops? I'd be like, nah, can we just give it a rest for today? Do we really have to go? Whereas now it's just like, yeah, I've got nothing better to do. I'll just go and do it because it's easier. And it's not to say that it's quick. There's still traffic. I'm still
Yeah.
stopping. It's not as wonderful as you'd kind of expect it to be, but
Yeah.
it's a nice
It's
change, isn't it?
totally different, isn't it? Totally different world. There was actually a time where we moved. It was near Christmas, and people were doing their food shopping for Christmas, and we're about to go into one of the big superstores, and the guy was coming out. He was like, "Oh, busy in there, mate." Oh, we're like, "Oh, okay, right." We walked in and we looked at each other and we just laughed, and we was like, "What? How?" It was like no busier than our local Tesco Express back in the UK.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, I sometimes
insane.
wonder if Australians really know how busy it can get. I mean, I preserve this way of life for as long as possible. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I want it to be busier at all. I love
Yeah.
how not busy it is, but yeah,
Oh, we'll
like
get
you were
told off though,
talking.
because we're encouraging people to move here, mate.
Well, maybe we can just encourage them to move to more rural areas that aren't where we live. We do need to keep populating places. So, living then in more rural Western Australia, was there any particular moments that kind of made you feel like, wow, I've arrived in Australia now?
Yeah. So I remember sort of leaving Perth and driving down south, and it was just a sort of long straight road, and I was thinking, it's not changed much for a very, very long time. Like it's just like dry, sort of. There's a few trees and not really much going on. And then when we got down south where we are, it changes. Like you said a minute like earlier, everything, the trees were getting really big, and then we saw like a herd of kangaroos. I don't know, what did you call it? A herd?
It's a
Um,
mob.
a mob. a mob of kangaroos, and there were hundreds of them. And then that was the moment we both just sort of went, "Oh wow, yeah, like we're in Australia."
Yeah. I don't know. Do you know what? I'm not sure if that's my exact moment, but every time I do see a kangaroo driving around, I'm like, not obviously the kangaroo's not driving, I'm driving around. But every time I see one, that'd be that.
That'd be
Oh,
impressive. That'd
bloody
make a
hell!
video.
I'm definitely in Australia if I see kangaroos driving around, mate. For any Americans listening, no, we normally just ride on their backs, but
Yeah.
it's a very Australian feeling, and I had this feeling once on the golf course with my mate who's also English, and I just said to him, I was like, do you think it's weird how our kids are going to grow up and then go to other places in the world and think, like, look at them and be like, what do you mean you don't have kangaroos just
Yeah.
hopping around? Like,
It
they're going
is
to be the complete opposite to us.
it is a mad concept that they're only on this island and not anywhere else in the world.
Oh, and Tasmania, but it doesn't really count.
Well, yeah. It's still part of Australia.
Well, it is on the holiday list, but it doesn't really count. Now let's get back to the move then and your jobs, because you said that you're not currently trucking. So how has the move impacted like your career and professional growth? I mean, and also both for your missus.
Well, so for the missus, it's been a lot harder than probably she would have expected.
Okay.
It's been hard on both of us really because we've sort of flipped roles in terms of she's now at the moment the breadwinner, and I am the one that because here in Australia the kids. I don't know actually if it's the same in Brisbane, but over this side the kids don't start school full time until they're 5 years old. And so January they'll be going full time, and
Mhm.
then I'll be able to go do trucking or whatever it may be. So at the moment, I'm off 3 days one week, 2 days the next week, and then I'm just doing a little part time work in a hardware store at the moment.
Okay.
Um, so it's been nice in terms of not having to be full on working all the time for me and getting to spend that time that I never would have had in the UK with the girls. That's amazing. And so I'm really grateful for that. But on the flip side, the missus doesn't get as much time with the girls now. So yeah, obviously that's hard. But yeah, it sort of swings and roundabouts. There's been great parts of both sides of us moving here, I guess.
Do you not qualify for childcare subsidy then on a sponsored visa?
No, that's exactly why. Yeah, I can't work full time. It would be like $130 a day
Yeah.
per child if we put them in childcare at the moment. So it's just not.
And then you kind of look at your wages and you go, well, what was the kind of point?
Yeah,
At least with
exactly.
childcare subsidy like we've got, it makes a massive difference, and almost it allows us as a family to kind of, we can use them as like a childcare provider, like as a we in the UK we had granny. She'd look after the kids one day a week.
Yeah.
That would allow Sam to go and do a bit of work, but we don't have that here. So to be able to, sometimes when we go, Sierra's the only one now that has childcare subsidy because she's not at school yet, and we're kind of like, should we just put her in for a few days, like on half term, just like should just send her in anyway, like just so that we can go and do nice things with the older one that the younger one can't do. It's a godsend. You don't have to worry. Well, you're paying for the looking after, but it works out financially, especially if you've got work kind of commitments as well. Like, might as well do it.
One of the things in the UK is we was paying for childcare. And then we get to a certain age, and then it gets subsidised by the government.
Hmm.
And we got it subsidised, and I think we were saving like I don't know, I think it was like £300 a month. And we're like, great, that's an extra £300 a month that we can save or do whatever with. And then all the energy bills and everything you could think of all just rocketed up. So that
Hmm.
£300 was literally just yanked out of our hand. Like, and it literally happened like as soon as we got the grant, they took that away from us, like literally straight away. There was no like breathing space. And we were
It's
just like,
almost like they timed it, isn't it?
yeah, it's insane.
Okay, so rural Australia, I've said before, they're great Australians. They're so friendly. I love country folk here. I think probably better than city folk sometimes. But there's not so many of them. It's a small place. How many people live where you live?
So in the actual town where I live, there's 3,000 people.
That's not more people.
No, and in the whole Shire, which I believe is bigger than Essex, which is the biggest county in England, I think. I might be getting that wrong. I'm pretty sure that's right. Anyway, yeah, there's 9,000 people in the entire Shire.
So how do you then go about building a new social circle and friends and stuff when there's not that many people that live there?
So I think the girls being so young was a massive help. I was having to take the girls to school. The
Mhm.
first little, like you have to stay there with them when they're like pre-kindy, they call it here. So I was staying at school, and there was a few other dads there, and I sort of got chatting to them. Made a good friend with one of them. He lives out on a farm, got a swimming pool, land,
Hey.
and we go over there and just have barbecues, have a great time. It's a like I don't know, yeah. And then my missus works with obviously other teachers, and she's made friends through them and through their partners. I've also made friends. Some are even POMs themselves. I don't know. I heard from somebody that POM is a derogative term, but when I get called it, I really don't care. Nah.
I prescribe to Ricky Gervais's thought about things. I find it funny, you find it offensive. That's why I'm happier than you are.
Offence is given, not taken.
Exactly. They don't want to hear the stuff that we call them.
I got it wrong. I got it mixed up. But yeah, no. So making friends, yeah, I actually found it pretty not easy, but I was lucky because of the kids and yeah, having that sort of common ground, I suppose, with other
Mm.
parents. And yeah, they go to the park, and I hear birthdays. You did a video actually. The birthdays, they all go to the park,
Yep.
and you're hanging out with the other parents, and you get to know them just through that, which in the UK is not really a thing, not I'm aware of. So
Yeah.
yeah. So that's pretty much how we made our circle of friends.
Have there been any moments so far where you've decided to question your move?
Not so much myself because I was very eager and it was all my idea, and I'm sort of happy go lucky and just trying to make the best of it. Even if I'm having crap days, I'm just like, yep, no, still better than what I had in the UK. But Mrs. has definitely struggled a little bit more than probably I would have expected. And I
Why is that?
think I think one of the hardest things for her is that she's got a friend that's just had a baby and just not being able to support her friends and stuff like that that she misses back in the UK. So I think that's been very hard for her. But yeah, it's just those things like family and friends that you kind of miss. And don't get me wrong, I miss my friends and family as well, but I just have to sort of weigh it up logically and think I did this for my children.
Yeah. Speaking about the children, because we get asked this a lot as well, and how old were yours when you left?
And so they just turned 4.
Now, mine were very young. One was even born here, so it doesn't really count. How
Yeah.
did you go about kind of taking them away from friends, family, grandparents, that kind of thing? How was that dealt with?
But that was very hard, very, very hard for my mum, especially, and well, and my partner's mum. Yeah, it was kind of one of those things where they wanted us to do it because they want us to live our lives and have the best life possible, but at the same time, for obviously their own reasons, they didn't want to lose their grandchildren and
Mm.
their children. So yeah, it was difficult. We broke it into probably 6 months before we left. Slowly, just sort of. Well, to be fair, I'd been sort of planning this getaway for the past 2 years prior to that, so I'd been drip feeding it to my mum slowly, slowly, slowly. But then, yeah, like sort of 6 months before when it was becoming real, that's when I started sort of, yeah, really sort of up in the ante, if you like.
Yeah, I had a similar thing where I was drip feeding it to. Well, my parents lived abroad in the Philippines anyway, but I was kind of drip feeding it to Sam's parents. I always remember Sunday afternoons, we'd sit there in the back room watching football and, we'd talk about moving to Australia and things like that. And I've been doing it for years, probably 5 years or more. And then when
Mm.
I eventually had the, bugger this, we're moving. And then it started getting a little bit more real. And then, going through visa agencies, applying for visas. It wasn't until, well, just before COVID hit and the visa was granted, and they were like,
Yeah.
"You're actually going to go."
Mm.
Even when we moved in, so we moved in to their house because ours was in the process of selling, so, and we were kept getting bumped flights, so we weren't sure what was happening. So we said, Kevin, can we move in with you until we get a flight and we get out? And he's like, yeah, of course. And even then, they were kept making the jokes of, you're not going to go to Australia, you're never going to get a flight. And there's me like the belligerent person that I am. I'm just like, I'll buy a boat, I'll row, I'm
Yeah.
getting there.
I mean, you saying about selling the house, that's been one of the hardest things about this entire experience for
Tell me
us.
about that.
So we sold our house in the UK in September 2024. Yes, but it didn't
That's
go
not this
through.
year. Okay.
No. So it fell through because the person at the bottom of the chain backed out. So we got the same buyer again. They got another buyer for their flat. 3 months later, it fell through again. At this point, we were just couldn't believe it. So we ended up changing our estate agent and just starting fresh, basically. And it took us over. Well, it sold basically last month. So yeah, it took us well over a year to sell our house, and obviously, basically being on 1.25 wage, if you like, if you take in my part
Yeah.
time and home,
Still having to pay
it
that
has been
mortgage.
rough. Yeah,
Did
but
the value of the house change at all? Did you get more for it?
yeah. So when we sold it originally, we had £10,000 more, so we lost £10,000 on the third sale. But yeah, now it's sold. It's a massive weight off our shoulders, and
Mm.
hopefully we can start breathing and living a bit. But yeah, that was stress like I've never experienced in my life. Like if somebody had told me at the beginning that you're going to have to go through all that stress,
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have left. I probably would have stayed.
I'm glad that we wrapped ours up before we went.
My big advice to anybody that's thinking about doing it is make sure you wrap up your bloody house sale before you leave, because yeah, it's killer.
I'm going to put this one out there to anyone listening that's considering that whole idea, because loads of people do. I want to keep the house just in case, what happens if blah, 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 we'll rent it out, we'll be fine. Now, I don't know anyone, not that hasn't gone back and used that backup plan. Don't get me wrong. A few people have. So if you want it for that reason, that's fine. But I don't know anyone that's kept their house in the UK and has said the selling process was easy.
Oh,
So, it's the swings around us, isn't it? It's like, yep, have that backup plan if you want it. However, just know that if you don't use your backup plan, the pain in the ass of trying to get rid of your property, it's not like in Australia trying to buy a house. As
yeah,
soon as
and that
you sign that contract, that's it, 30 days and it clears. Australian people will be listening to this going, you
uh,
sold your house a year later and
yeah,
you lost money on it? Like,
yeah,
yeah, it's mate, it's
and
very
I get it
different.
all the time at work. They're like, "Oh, it took me 30 days to sell my house." Yeah, thanks, mate.
If anything, it's too quick here sometimes. Like it's a different type of stress having to. I mean, normally, again, everything goes through fine because people, they pull their finger out when push comes to shove. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's like, oh, I have to sort this out. I have to go and sort this out. I have to go and sort this out.
With the UK, with the solicitors and the estate agents, it's like they've got so many customers or clients, whatever you want to call them. It's like they just don't care. They just like, yeah, I'll get around to that one. And you just feel like you're getting nowhere. It's
Slap them with
so
a
bloody
legal
stressful.
obligation.
Yeah. I feel like if they had it like Australia, it would be so much better.
So, other than the selling of the houses and stuff like that, have there been any other good surprises, bad surprises about living here?
Good surprises in terms of, I don't know, how do you mean like good surprises?
I don't know, anything that you weren't expecting.
I don't know. I feel like I'd been researching it for so long and I was so invested in coming that there hasn't been anything that's majorly surprised me. Like, I suppose just the fact that round here, you can just drive on any beach and just pull up and have a barbecue and you pretty much know you're not going to be bothered by anyone is just an amazing experience. Like, in the summer, we just rack up, we get a little portable barbecue, some beers, whatever, and we just head down to the beach, maybe take the fishing rods with us, and just spend the day down there. Kids are playing in the sand dunes. It's just such a chill sort of different lifestyle, like something I could never do in the UK.
Yeah, I know they do say about the swim between the flags stuff and things like that, but as we were talking about earlier, I don't really swim. Like I'll paddle. I'm still touching the floor. I know they talk about riptides and things like that, and it's like,
Yeah,
mate, the minute I can feel the current pulling my legs away from where it is, I'm just going to walk back in. Like
yeah, I'm the
it's
same.
not going to be a major problem, you know. I know the kids are slightly different, but they get told the same kind of thing. Don't go in too deep, and you know we're watching them and stuff like that. But I prefer the really quiet beaches where there isn't anyone, you
Yeah,
know, just being allowed the freedom to do whatever it is that you want. Now we can't necessarily drive on all the beaches where we are in Queensland. I know a
hmm,
lot of them you do also need a permit, even though it's not that expensive. If that's the kind of thing that you want to do, it's not prohibitive at all. But
yeah,
yeah, when I turn up at a beach and I kind of, you know, that walk through the dunes bit or something like that
yeah,
lots of people do, and then I look around and I'm like, oh, bugger, there's someone over there.
yeah.
I wanted it to be pristine.
Well, that's the thing. Being down here in the southwest is that it is so sparsely populated that you can go to most beaches and not see people. And it's different, obviously, if you go to like the beaches in Perth and stuff like that. But yeah, it's it's just so chilled.
Now, one thing that I am interested in, because, like you say, you are more regional, how are the financial realities of living in regional Australia? How does it compare to the UK in Essex?
Well, yeah, that is probably one of the obviously massive things. Obviously, part of the reason we moved was financial, and I was actually working it out the other day. So, what it cost us to live in a three-bedroom box house in the UK with a garden about the size of four sheds,
Where in Essex are you from?
just where the
Lakeside.
Dartford crossing is. Yeah, yeah, literally there, Lakeside. Yeah, yeah. So our house there, three-bedroom house. We were running that, and we worked it out. Well, we were $14,000 better off a year living here, semi-rural. So that's £7,500 roughly
Mm.
in English. So yeah, that's just bills, food, fuel, whatever it may be. So yeah, definitely financially better off, and that's without me even working full time yet as well.
Absolutely. And when you're talking about, like you said earlier, your missus was earning barely 30 grand a year, and then that the take home pay would have been even worse. Like 7 grand is that's a lot of hours to be working just to kind of break even.
Exactly. Yeah. So she was on just under 30,000, and now she's upwards of 100 plus. I don't actually know the exact figure, but I know it's over $100,000. So you do have to obviously cut that in half, £50,000. She's £20,000 better off than she would have been in the UK. No
Are there
brainer, really.
any costs of things that surprise you because they're too expensive or because they're very cheap?
That shopping here is like whack a mole. Like some days you'll go in, and like the grapes
Yeah.
just are astronomical, and then the next day you'll go in and they've come right down. And I guess it's all seasonal and what's easy available, but like limes, people have got limes in their gardens. Pretty much every single house in this
Mm.
area. And I went in the other day and it was like $18 a kg or something like that. And I was like,
More expensive than meat.
yeah. So yeah, that really threw me. But like I say, it's usually a sort of seasonal things. Most things are relatively comparable to the UK. It's not like like your breads and your milks and your eggs. It's all when you work out the conversion, it's the same, if not a little bit cheaper. And then when you take into consideration how much more you're earning, you're winning.
Do you still find yourself converting to UK prices all the time?
I mean, you've just seen me do it.
I do you know what? I feel so out of touch sometimes with UK prices. I mean, I live through you guys who have made the move more recently. I don't convert anymore, but purely because I don't know what the price would be. You know, I sit
Yeah,
there when people say to me, one of my favorite things to do is put up the prices of beers when I go out and things like that. There was one the other day. I think I put it up and it was like dollars, like kind of like a craft beery kind of pint,
yeah,
and people were like, "Oh, that's bloody expensive," and I'm like, "I don't know, is it?" Like, because comparing to all the other places that I drink in Brisbane, for a pint of that stuff, it actually is pretty cheap. I had
yeah.
two.
I think
you know.
alcohol is definitely a bit more expensive here than the UK. But then I think it's like anything, isn't it? It's all about what's convenient. And also in the UK, like you can get all the ones from Europe just on your doorstep. So yeah, you're going to pay a little bit more. But like I say, when you work out the wages,
I find here, in comparison to the UK, even when I lived there and the prices were the prices, I would consciously think more about how much money I was giving over every time I was buying a beer in a pub.
yes, yeah,
Whereas
that's true.
here, definitely the first two or three, I'm like, I'm not even thinking about it. And then then after that, I'm more consciously thinking how much have I spent, not because of I'm concerned about the cost of it, but more in the case of how many have I drunk?
Yeah, yeah, no,
Do I
no,
have
I
to go
know
to
what you
work
mean.
tomorrow? How do I want to feel? Because
I
at the
don't
end of the
know.
day, if it's a bit more expensive and I end up, not drinking as much, that's not a bad thing for my health.
Yeah, and I've also like when you take into consideration eating out, I find that tends to be cheaper.
Hmm.
Like a burger and chips, I don't know, be like $26, so half that. In the UK, unless you go into one of the lesser establishments, it's kind of hard to find something that cheap.
Hmm. I was talking to my brother recently. He lives in Basildon, and he
Oh, wow.
was telling me he a McDonald's price. He was like, I paid a tenner for a McDonald's meal the other day, and I was like, $20. Those things are like $15, and I'm getting a moderately fancy one as well for that.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
he's
that's
like,
yeah,
and then he's doing the maths. He's like, seven pound
yeah.
fifty. I'm like, don't give yourself an aneurysm while you're driving. You'll cause an accident.
Yeah. Oh, so he's very close to where I was then,
Yeah.
literally just down the
And
road.
no, I know that a lot of times driving through Thurrock and things like that to see my brother or see other family and things. My dad's from Southend, so I've got a close
Oh, okay,
connection to Essex. I've
fair
still got
enough.
a Southend United scarf somewhere in the wardrobe. First ever football game I went to.
Oh, me too.
Now, if you're listening to this and you're thinking to yourself, rural life outside Perth is for me, or in fact, just anywhere in Australia will do, you might even be thinking, bloody hell, I'm already here and I'm just trying to find a way to stay. Well, if that's the case, then you need to speak to the sponsors of this podcast, True Blue Migration Services. Now, we've been working with them for nearly 5 years, the entire duration of how long we've lived in Australia, helping hundreds, if not thousands of people to find out whether moving to Australia is a genuine possibility for them. Speak to them today on their website at www.truebluemigration.com, and when you mention that Johnston Life, you'll be able to use their free visa assessment, where they'll be able to tell you exactly what you need to do to move to or stay in Australia. And because we've been working with them for so long, and even last month we helped 4 people from the UK finalise their dreams in moving to Australia, and because they mentioned us, they were able to save $200 off the cost of their visa. So if you fancy a bit of that, check all their details down in the description below. Has moving to Australia changed you as a person, do you think?
Yes, definitely. It's made me different in terms of I've had to sort of grow up a little bit more, I suppose, in terms of I don't have people that I can rely on that I used to be able to in the UK. Like, I don't know, if I needed the dishwasher replumbed or something, I could call my stepdad because he's a plumber and I'd be like, yeah, he knows what he's doing. Whereas now I'm sort of like, I'll try and figure that out myself and then make a fool of it and probably get someone to do it. But still try. Do you know what I mean? I'm
Absolutely.
much more hands on than I would have been back in the UK because I had the help.
It's a weird way of growing up, isn't it, sometimes? Not having to rely on the people that were there. What about your missus? Do you think she's changed at all?
Yes, definitely changed in certain ways. I think it's made her a lot more less reliable, I suppose, as well on like even people like just for childcare and stuff like
Mm.
that. Like she's very more like can't get help, so just got to get on with it, and yeah, just a bit more resilient, I guess.
Have the kids changed?
Yeah, I mean they're so young, they're so impressionable. They've definitely changed in terms of their accent. I can even hear that coming through now.
Mm.
Certain things they're saying, like especially being from Essex, it's like we're water. And they're now saying water.
Water.
There's no T.
Yep.
So
Only
yeah, I definitely
D's.
noticed that. I
That was
even I even
one.
hear it myself sometimes. Some of the videos I do, I get told, "Oh, you're starting to sound a bit Aussie." I'm like,
I was on. I was on actually BBC Radio Essex earlier this week on Monday, and
"Oh,
I messaged my brother and I said, "Oh, I'm going to be on at about 2 o'clock. Tune in." I think it's still on BBC Sounds if you're that sad that you want to go and look. But the only thing he replied to me, apart from saying, "Yeah, yeah, I'll tune in and listen to you," was, "Don't talk in that stupid accent, though." And I was like, I don't, I don't really hear it. I think I do sound
Yeah,
English
you don't
still.
you don't hear it. My cousin moved to Ireland when he was 18, and then he would come back to the UK and he'd be saying things to me and not realizing, like he'd be saying grand and stuff like that,
Oh, that's all grand.
and yeah, like, he just doesn't realize because it's so
What's the
normal to
crack?
him. Yeah, it's all things like that. I talk to him on the phone all the time, and he just slips in these little slang words, and I'm like, so yeah,
My choice of words has definitely changed. I talk like an Australian in the words that I choose to say. Um, I don't know. I just don't think the accent's fully there yet. I even
no,
when I try and sound Australian, like trying to put the accent on purpose, I can't do it. I still can't do it naturally yet.
yeah. I see. One thing I was expecting more when I moved here would be Australians calling me out for my accent, but according to a lot of the Australians that I talk to, they don't even realise that I'm
Oh,
British.
really?
Yeah, and I'm like, I've got an Essex accent. Surely that's noticeable.
I think it's the northern people that I meet that the accent's so much broader, isn't it?
True. Yeah, I think down here there's a lot of ponds, so it's probably so like, yeah, whatever. It's just another pond.
Now, this is my favourite question. What do you miss from the UK?
Family, miss my mum, my sister, uncle, or basically just family. And I'll be straight with you. Certain foods, but
Go on.
other than that, not much.
Which foods?
Um, so you can have a roast dinner, you can cook a roast dinner for yourself, right? Like that's not a problem. But it's nice to just go out sometimes and just have it cooked for you.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, there are places like in Perth and stuff like that, but that's a 3.5 hour drive. So for me to
Yeah.
just be able to have a roast and not have to cook it, I miss that. I do miss that.
Or even if you do find one, it's slightly different. Like
True.
I like going out for like breakfast or brunch, and I'll always get like the big breakfast kind of thing. And we did it
Yeah.
last week, and they're just healthier here. Like you've got spinach in it and stuff. And again, we're talking about, oh, Ross, why are you whinging? If Australia's trying to make you healthier, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No.
But I don't know. Do you know what? I need to experience all these things that I mean, I don't miss a fry up. It's not like I miss it because there's an alternative. But if I think about it, it's not exactly the same. Like I even said to Sam, I was like, is there any beans on this? They put them in a little pot. And I was like, oh, that's a bit
Yeah.
fancy. And I was like, but yeah, I probably do need to go out. Number one, it will be looking at the price of the poxy thing. Oh my God, how
Yeah.
expensive is this? You know, I
Hmm.
get a, you never whinge about the quality of the food here, really.
No, that's what I've said. Like the girls are chip obsessed. They love their chips, and I don't think I've had a bad chip
No.
since I've been here. The Australians really know how to do their chips.
Yeah. The only bad chip I've ever had in my house is the one I try and cook myself. I just go out and go out to the chippy. Can I have a
Although
portion of chips now, please?
my missus will say that the choice of chips, as in what we would call crisps, she is not a massive fan of. She gets really sad because there's a lot of crisps in the UK that she could eat that she can't have here. She can't have milk, so for her, she's very limited to the crisps that she can have. But yeah, it's a small sacrifice to make.
I saw a pack of a prawn cocktail the other day, but there was $6. I'm not paying $6 for a bag of chips, mate. I don't even care if it's one of the big ones. It wasn't like a little one. It was like one of the big, grab
Yeah.
baggy ones. I was like, I'm still not paying $6. I won't pay $6 for chips that are Australian.
There's
You
an
know,
English shop in Perth, and it does all the British chips, crisps. I can't get used to saying it. It doesn't matter how many times someone says to
no,
me,
they're chips because the other ones are hot chips.
"Yeah."
That's the difference.
But yeah, yeah, there's one in Perth, and they do all of them. But yeah, like you say, they are a little bit more pricey, obviously.
There's one thing I do miss, and that's the thing that Sam always gets for me on like birthdays or Christmas. And you don't have to go to a British shop, but you do have to ask for the British ones, and they are fizzy bubblegum cola bottles. But they have to be the
Um,
British ones because I've had the other ones here and they're horrible.
Okay.
So you have to get it on the pack, and it literally says like English ones.
Oh, I'll have to look out for them next time I go. If I get some, I'll take a photo and I'll send it to you.
Mate, me and my brother, that is our favourite sweet. And I didn't realise it was a niche English recipe thing. We
Yeah,
just thought
I
they
think
do it everywhere.
that's the thing. There's quite a few things from the UK that are very niche to the UK, and you don't realise until you do move away that yeah,
I'll deal with the Australian chocolate. I don't mind that, but they're fizzy bubblegum cola bottles. Rubbish, mate.
I can't get used to saying lollies either. That's another one that I always struggle with. We say it now because of the kids, because obviously they're saying it to their friends and
Mm.
stuff, but it just sounds so strange to me. Lolly.
Sam can't say like she's sweet, so I'm lollies. I don't mind.
Yeah.
They get different things, but I will insist on yogurt in our house. I will
Yeah.
not have yogurt.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it at work as well. Data.
Yeah, I won't do that either. Data.
No,
It's data,
no,
mate.
no, it's
Speak
data.
properly.
But I suppose we're here. We should integrate. We should be using their words.
Yeah, no, but I'm integrating by taking the piss. And that's what Australians
True.
do anyway.
Yeah, that is
So there
very
you go.
true.
What are the plans for the future then?
So the plans for the future is me getting a decent job. I say decent job. I really like my job. That could go backfire, but I did that.
I don't
So
think they
yeah.
listen to this podcast, mate. Don't worry about it.
Oh no, my boss does.
Oh, God. Is he trying to fall
No, but
asleep?
he knows what I mean. I've told him anyway that I'm not looking at staying there long term. It is a stepping stone until I can work full time, and hopefully, yeah, working full time trucking, getting into the mines, whatever, just getting some money behind us
Mm-hmm.
and finding where we want to live in Australia, because we love this place, Manjimup, but we don't know if it's where we want to stay yet, because it is quite rural.
Mm.
For me, I think I'd be more than happy to stay out this way, but I think for my partner, I think she needs to be a little bit closer to the shops, the cities, just to have that convenience. I think for her, it's probably the way we're going to go. So yeah, I think in the future, hopefully, we'll be living on a beach somewhere. But we'll see.
Lots of Poms do. Is there anything that would make you consider moving back to the UK?
No, quite simply, my missus probably being miserable would probably be the only thing that would make me say, okay, right, let's go. But other than that, I'm sort of team Australia.
Tell her, and this is advice for anyone that kind of when you will eventually get the lows about moving here, and it just happens. The first thing is it's a cyclical thing. You know, once you eventually get rid of it, it will happen again. But I find that it's like a 6 month kind of thing. And if it ever lasts for more than about 4 weeks, then you know you've kind of got a problem.
Right.
But
Okay.
yeah, maybe I'll get a bit of a low for a week, you know, without being too sexist. You probably say, "Oh, Ross, you're having your 6 month period again."
Yeah.
Like probably are. Like it's a dip in hormones or something like that. But it does happen. And it does happen cyclically, and you just kind of learn to get used to it. And my way of thinking about it would be that yeah, it's going to happen. It's absolutely right, because it's most of the time it's talking about, you know, what you're saying about friends and family, and it's that missing for the human connection that you used to have. But you find ways to kind of get over it a little bit,
Yeah.
and you just kind of use those. For me, quite often it's I just ring home.
Yeah.
I ring back, and you know I sit there and I'm on the phone to my sister for Jesus, like nearly 2 hours sometimes.
Yeah.
My brother, who was always a man of few words, you know, a 5 minute phone call might turn to 10, maybe 15. So you know, he's pushing it out a little bit longer for me.
Yeah, I think it's just that sort of that first 2 years is always going to be hard. You see it if you ever on in the Facebook pages, you always see the first 2 years are the worst. Like you'll get that year out of the way, and then you start missing things. But it's always going to be something that you miss. And like her sister's moved here as well, so like I think the plan is, that
Since you've
pretty much.
moved.
Yeah.
Oh wow,
So she's been
awesome.
here for 6-7 months now. She's living in the next town over. She's got a sponsorship. So yeah, like she's got.
Teaching as well.
No, she's not a teacher. She's like retail management. So
Okay,
you can even get sponsorship for that
awesome.
in regional areas. So yeah, yeah, so the plan is her mum's coming, her sister's here, her brother-in-law will be coming soon. He's finishing off his degree or whatever he's doing in the UK.
Nice.
And then, yeah, my sister is also looking at moving over with her partner who's a police officer. So yeah, we're like the second coming.
Awesome. Well, we all of those roles we kind of need. So,
Yeah,
even when people say, "Oh, haven't we got enough retail managers?" It's like, well, mate, there's a reason why people are allowed to kind of come over here and fill those types of roles.
yeah,
Because someone needs it, and it all goes through the books, and it's all government regulated, and that's it. If you've got a skill, you've got something that's in demand. These jobs need filling.
yeah.
Can you? So this last bit is more about helping people that are considering the move, and that was us way back when. Can you share a mistake about moving to Australia that you kind of wish you didn't make, or something that you learned from it?
I think obviously, like I said already about the house sale, that
Mm-hmm.
was yeah the biggest mistake that we could have made. Even though when we moved here in September was when the house was supposed to complete,
Yeah,
we landed and it was supposed to complete like a week after, and it just sort of yeah that
worst news
that
ever.
made everything just sort of a bit of a downer for a long time after that because we didn't know whether we were coming or going literally.
Mm.
So yeah, I just make sure that you've got all your loose ends tied up and you're ready to go rather than having to do what we did where stressed.
What about any silly mistakes?
Silly mistake? I don't know. I mean, just in general chit chat. I even said this in one of my videos. I was just talking to an Australian, and he said, "Yeah, I've got," and I was like, "All right, what were you eating something dodgy?" Or and he just looked at me and said, "What do you want about?" I was like, "You said you got a." He's like, "No, I'm pissed off,"
Yeah,
and I was like, "All right."
like cracking gets you're angry. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, "Oh, okay." So yeah, I thought that was one silly thing. Yeah, kind of just a missing translation there.
Yeah, I still every now get. I think I've got the Australian lingo down pat, but every now and again I get an odd one. What was it? Emu parade. So it was getting towards the end of the term, and we were thinking about things that the kids could do, just to
Yeah,
help out with stuff, as you would at the end of the term. And one of them turned around and went, "Oh, the site's a bit kind of, they're leaving all their crap around a little bit. Let's get them to do an emu parade." And I was just sitting there working on some plan or something, and I just looked up and I was like, "Oh, what?" Bearing in mind they had basically just explained what they were going to do. Like, "Oh, our site's looking a bit dirty. We'll get the kids to help out." What would you think an emu? Oh, they're going to go around and do a litter pick then, aren't they? It's like, okay, but they call it an emu parade. I was like,
oh, right. Yeah, no, never heard of that before.
no, emu anything coming from the UK. Some people will be listening to this going, "What's a bloody emu?" Well,
Yeah,
they had
well,
a war against them and they lost. But,
why?
an emu parade. That's the thing. Even now, still, they'll say things. And I'm like, what the hell are you on about?
Oh, have you ever tried feeding an emu?
No. How'd you do that?
Oh, just be careful. And so there's a place near where we live
Mm-hmm.
called Johnny River, and you can actually just walk around, and the emus and the kangaroos literally just walk up to you, and there's a shop where you can buy the feed.
Yeah.
And the kangaroos are fine. You just feed them; they just take it out of your hand. The emus is like a
Pecking and
hammer.
stuff? Yeah.
You put your hand out, and they'll pinch your hand as you're feeding them. It's a nightmare. The kids were
Yeah, nah.
terrified of them.
Just throw the food and run. Get off the
Literally,
floor like a peasant. Go on. I'm not feeding you.
it's like you kind of distract them with one, and then the kids are over there feeding the kangaroos. So yeah, we learned that the hard way.
What advice would you give to someone considering the move to Australia?
I would advise anybody that's interested in moving to Australia that if you are serious about it, then just do it because it is totally different. It's not easy, but in my opinion, it is just so much better than my lifestyle back in the UK. Like there are things that obviously you can compare good and bad, but in general, I feel like I have a better quality of life here.
Thanks, Sam, for joining our podcast, and I hope it's given you all a greater insight in what it takes to move to rural Western Australia. And if you want to see more of Sam's life and what it's like living there, he's also got a YouTube, Truck It Prail, because, he used to drive trucks. And I've put a link down in the description below as well. And if you want to see more of what our life is like in Australia, then check us out on YouTube and Instagram at That Johnston Life. And if this podcast has been the inspiring moment to make you want to move to Australia, and you're in the early stages or you don't know what you can do next, speak to True Blue Migration Services and use their free visa assessment, where their decades of expertise will be able to help you and advise you on what you need to do next to move to or stay in Australia. And if you don't believe me, read some of the hundreds of positive reviews they've got on Google, but it's a bit boring, so just read the first few. And I'll see you next time.